Hi guys, and welcome after the break. First of all, I wanted to thank you for subscribing to the channel. We've reached 500 subscribers. That makes me very happy and much more motivated to make more videos. So please, if you're watching, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel so we can grow and make more and more videos about the robotics. Again, thank you very much. And right now, let's get to the video. Okay, so today I wanted to cover two topics, and I'm going to make two videos where in this video I'm going to talk about a little bit about the basics and then a little bit more advanced stuff about position registers and registers. Why I'm covering this too? Because in order to use to make operations on a position registers, you kind of need to understand what the register is. And let's start with the registers. So what are the registers? Registers are used to store a value in it. It can be a positive value, it can be a negative value, it can be an integer, it can be a real value. So basically you can store there any number. How you can save a value to a register? So there are two ways. There is a direct way and an indirect way. So where direct way is going to be to go to the register menu, type in the value, hit enter, and the value is stored in that register. The indirect method would be to use something in order to copy a value from it to a register. How we can do it? For example, we can use a group output or group input, and we can use that value to store in a register. So those are the two ways how you can save a value into a register, and we're going to get to it on the exercises. Now, why I wanted you to understand the register is because we are using them also in the position register. The difference between the registers and position registers is in position registers we can imagine that you're storing like 6 registers in one position, more or less. But we'll get to that in a moment. First, let's talk about the differences between a point and the position register. So what is the difference? The main difference is, guys, that the point is going to store the data locally in the program. So that means that the point is going to store the position data only inside one program, and you do not have access to it in other programs. And the position register, however, is going to store your data, but you have access to it globally. That means that this position register that you will save can be used in hundreds of programs and is going to use the values stored in that registers. Why I'm saying a values, not the position? Well, here's the thing. Positions are storing the positional data including the user frame and user tool. The position register is storing the data without the tool data and the frame data. That means if you have a point saved in a position register using a Cartesian values, you need to remember what user frame and user tool was used to save it. Because if you will move it, if you will try to move to it or try to use it in the program without selecting the correct user frame and user tool, it's going to move to a different point, and I'm going to show it on the exercises. There are two ways how to store the position inside the position registers. The same as in point, it can be stored as a Cartesian or as a joint. So you can use this too. Now the good news are, if you are going to store your position as a joint in a position register, then in all of the programs that you will use, we're going to use the joint position data. That meaning the user frame and user tool doesn't matter for it. So for example, in the most cases, you will see a home position saved as a joint, and then you will use it in all of your programs. That's an example. So how is the data stored in the position register? So when you go to the position register menu and you will look at the register, we see that there are 6 values, X, Y, Z, and then the rotation. PRW. Or you have joint 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 if you have external axis, external axis. So why I said that you need to know the registers in order to use the position registers? Because you can imagine that that's like a group of the 6 registers. So basically you're going to have position register 1, and then value 1, which is going to be the X, value 2, which is going to be Y, value 3, which is going to be Z, value 4, which is going to be P, value 5, which is going to be R, and value 6, which is going to be W. So you can imagine that you took 6 registers, assign it to a group, and there you go, that's your position register. The same applies, of course, for the joint. Joint 1, register, position register 1, comma 1. So now, why I was telling this also, because in the next video, when we're going to do like operations on the position registers and registers, you're going to see that you can use only one value from that position register, and you can change it. Meaning you can have one point, just add a Z value to it, and you can make a palletizing program, for example. Very neat thing. So that we're going to cover in the next video. However, today I'm going just to show you how to put in the data inside the registers, how to record a position register, how to put in the data inside the position register. And guys, position registers, the same thing as registers. 2 methods, actually 3 methods, how you can put in the data in. One is going to be direct methods, where you're going to type in the values. The second one, to be honest, I don't know how to call it. It's kind of indirect, but it's also direct method. That's when you will save that point, when you're going to hit a shift record, and you're going to store the current robot position to a position register. And the third one is, of course, going to be the indirect method, the same like with the registers, where you're going to use some values to save it in the position register itself. Okay, I hope I made everything clear about the basics. So right now, as always, it's time for exercises, guys. Okay, hi guys, and welcome to the exercises. So first things first, let me show you how to get to the registers. So what you gotta do is you gotta hit your data, and that will take you to your registers. Just in case you will not see the data registers, or let me put it on this screen. You gotta hit type, and then you can choose from registers, position registers, and string registers. So you gotta hit registers, enter, and you will see your data registers screen. As you can see in this robot, I have 500 registers. You can have more or less registers. You can change that value to a different one in the cold start. So let's start with the things that I said before. So let's start with the direct input method. Oh, and the first thing, guys, always before you use a register, remember to name it. How do we name it? We're going to select the register that we wanted to use, let's say number 5. You're going to hit enter, and you're going to name it however you want. So let's do testing. Alright, we have our register named. And how do we put the value in? We're going to move the arrow in here and put the value into the registers, hit enter, and there you go. Right now register number 5 is going to store value of 50. But as I said, registers can store a value that are not integers but real values. So let's name this one. Let's do testing 1 or testing real, and go to here, and you can put 50 point, I don't know, 5, whatever. So you have two values stored, a real integer value and a real value. As well, you can put negative values and negative real values. Okay, so that's how you put the value inside the register directly. How do you do it indirect? Well, you gotta go to your program. I created a program called registers, and you need to create a command line that will put a value inside a register. So let's do it. Let's hit instruction. We're going to go to registers, which is the first option. And here there are many things you can do with the registers. Today we're just going to focus on the first one, which is equals. The rest I'm going to describe in the later videos. Okay, so let's hit enter. And what we're gonna do, we wanna choose the registers. We're going to cover the later things later on. Hit enter. And in here you want to put the register value. So there are a few ways how you can do it. You can do a direct value or an indirect value. When you hit the direct value, that means you're going to put the register number in here. If you're going to do indirect value, that means you're going to use a different register to save a value to this register. We'll test it soon. And you can also use an argument. I'm not going to cover arguments in this video, that's for later. So basically, you can call a program with a parenthesis and a number in. That's how you're going to use the argument. But let's do direct method now. So let's do our testing register number 5. And you can assign many things to a register, as you can see. For now, let's assign a constant value. So we want to assign 10. All right. Let's run the program and let's watch what happens to register number 5. Okay, as soon as I run it, in register number 5, we got the value 10. So that's how we can save a value indirect into the register. Now let's see the other options, so the indirect options. So basically that means that you're going to use other register. So you're going to use a number in a register to save this value to a register with this number. Okay, I hope I didn't mix it up, but let me show you what I mean. So we're going to use number 5 here. Okay, so let's clear those up. Let's put zeros in here, just so you know. Okay, so right now, how does it work? That means that I'm going to save a register number this, and I'm going to assign a value 10 to it. So what does it mean? Let's say I want to save a value to register number 6. That means in register number 5, which is in here, I need to put number 6. So right now you can imagine that this line is going to be exactly the same as this one. So those two lines are exactly the same. Just to show it to you, I'm going to put 11 in here. Okay, and let's run it one by one. So if I'm going to go through this line, in register number 6, we're going to see value 10. Okay, and right now, when I run through this line in register 6, we're going to see value 11. Okay, so I hope you get the idea. So that's how you use the indirect method. So you're going to take the value from this register, and then you're going to use it as a register with this value equals to this. So again, those two lines that you see here are exactly the same. All right. The next option is, the next option that we have in here is the argument. Like I said, I will not use it. I'm not going to describe it. So guys, sorry, later on. Okay, what else? You have a list where you can choose which register is it. Just in case you have a name and you know, okay, I want to use register number 5, you're going to hit, and it's going to automatically save it to number 5. It's very cool. If you don't remember which register you want to use, you can look it up very easily. Okay, but I told you that you can use the registers to also use like a group output to save a group output value to a register. So how you want to do it? So instead of using the constant value, I want to save a group output value to it. And let's use group output number 1. So right now, let's go to the group outputs. That we didn't cover yet, but we're going to cover it pretty soon. And let's put value 3 in our group output 1. So right now, what that code is going to do in register number 5, we're going to assign the value from here. So the value from here will be assigned to register number 5. Let's run through it. And as you can see, the value from group output number 3 was assigned to register number 5, and that is shown in here. Can you do it the other way? Of course you can. So you can use the register to save a value to a, for example, group output. So now let's use register number 6 to save value to group output number 2. So we're going to insert IO group. We want to use group number 2, and we want to assign a register to it, and we want to assign register number 6. So right now, when I go shift forward, what I'm going to do is use that value and assign it to group output number 2. So group output number 2 equals to these registers. Pretty easy, pretty easy. So guys, those are the basic functions of the registers. I hope you understand. If not, leave the comments down below. That's all we're going to cover today. The mathematical operations, we're going to move it to the next video. Okay, so we got our registers covered. Right now, let's talk about the position registers. So what are those? So basically, when we are at the register, we're going to hit type, and we're going to go to the position register screen. In my robot, I have 100 position registers. Again, you can change the number in a control start and increase it, decrease it, however you want. Now, as I said in the introduction, the position register, same as position, can be saved in two ways, either a Cartesian or joint. So how do we use it, how do we save it, and so on. Let's look at the stuff that I have already prepared. So for example, the home position. How do we check what's the value of the home position? So you're going to select home, you're going to hit position, and you're going to see the values that it has. And as you can see, it's a joint representation. The other one is the pounds, which is also a joint representation. But when you take a look at the empty registers, so the asterisk indicates that the register is not being used, that it's empty, and you can use it, and we're going to hit position. By default, it's a Cartesian representation. So you have X, Y, Z, W, P, R in here, together with the config and the thing I said, user frame and user tool as F, which means that they are not being used. Okay, so let's see how that works. So I'm going to create a point, and that's our regular point. Now I'm going to create a position register and save it to the same coordinates. So I'm going to go to point, create a new point. Now we're going to move the cursor onto the point. I'm going to hit choose position register, and I want to use position register number 3 because it's not being used, and enter. Now the values are not saved in here, so if I will try to run through that line, I'm going to get an error saying that the data is not initialized, which makes sense. So now how do we save the value to the register? We're going to go to the register screen, and before, of course, name it, guys. So you're going to hit enter whenever you're in here, and let's name our register. Okay, as you can see, the name pop up here. You need to hold the shift button, and you're going to hit the record. And it says position has been recorded to position register number 3, and it's recorded in here. So now let's see the values. So when you go to the regular point, you hit position, you will have all of your data in here. When we go to here, we hit position, we also have all of the data here. But now the thing that is different is user frame and user tool that are saved in the position register and in here. As you can see, the ones that are saved in here do not have a value. What does it mean? That means right now the values I'm using is tool number 1, user number 0. If for any reason I'm going to change the user to number 1, so right now we're using tool number 1, user number 1, we are still in the same position, nothing changed, I did not move the robot, but I am going to save that point and I'm going to hit record. As you can see, I am in the same point, but the values are different. That's because this point was saved using a different user frame and user tool. If I'm going to add a point, and of course you save it with the new user tool and user frame, that means that these values are going to be the same. So you gotta watch out, because you will never know in what user frame and user tool that position was saved. So it's kind of dangerous, guys, because if you'll get to a robot, you're going to have a different setting, right? And you will try to move to this point. The robot will try to move it, but it's not going to be the same point. See, we got a limit error. Why? We don't know. Well, that's because if we try to move to the point that we saved, this one, it will say, hey, you have invalid user frame and you invalid user tool. I'm sorry, only user frame, we didn't change the tool. Invalid user frame and you cannot move to this point. So as soon as you change it, so right now we have the correct one. When we take a look at the point, it's correct. When we try to move it, of course we will move to it. And when we try to move to here, of course we will move there. Of course the robot will not move because it's the same point. Again, if we will try to move through the first point, oh, I think I saved this one with the old values. So you need to really remember what was the user tool and user frame that you used while saving the PR. If you want to be sure, you need to change the representation of it to joint. This way you will be 100% sure that whatever happens, the position register that you're using will never change. It doesn't matter in what tool frame, what user frame you're using, it will always be the same. When you touch it up, it will save the current position, and that current position is going to be saved using the joint movement. So right now, when you select, I don't know, let's say tool number 5, it will not matter for the robot because it will run. It won't run through other point, of course. You can select tool number 3. That doesn't matter. It will run. It will never move because that position is saved using the joint values. And now, like I said, you can use the position registers in many programs. So if I'm going to select a different program and I'm going to add a point in here and I'm going to choose position register and I will put number 3, it will automatically use this point. So right now, if I will move that point, let's go back to our old program. Let's move this point. Let's move it on axis number 1. Okay. Let's save it. We gotta hit Shift, record. Position have been recorded. We move it. Okay. So right now the position number 3 in program registers is in here. And also when we select the other program, we'll try to move to our position register. It will move exactly to the same spot. So that was the thing I was trying to explain, that the position registers are global values, so you can save it once and use in any program. Now there is one more important thing that you need to know about the position registers. So as you can see, there are a few options here. We can clear it. So if we clear, basically we need to hold the Shift, hit clear, and are you sure that you want to clear it? Yes. And it will get the asterisk back and you have everything saved as an asterisk. Record, like I show you, you gotta hold Shift, his record, position is going to be recorded. When you hit the position button, you'll see all of the data. And there is one more button that's named Move To. Now the important thing about the Move To button. So how does it work? When you hit Shift and Move To, the robot will automatically move to the selected position register. But it's very important. It will make that movement linear. So when you hit Shift and Move To, the robot is going to move to that point using a linear motion. This is very important, guys, because see, that movement is saved as joint. So when you will try to move from here to this point, it's going to be a joint motion. But if you're making the same movement, so from here, using this is a linear motion. So guys, remember it. It makes a difference, especially when there are changes in the wrist configuration, and that can cause trouble. Okay, that's all, guys, from the basics, from the position registers and registers, and we're going to cover more interesting stuff in the next video, so stay tuned. Alright, I hope you enjoyed the video. Like always, guys, leave your comments down below. Don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. And like always, see you in the next video. Bye bye.